This is take 2 on the Monday Morning Mechanic podcast. We're going to be talking about Salt Lake City 3, and we'll also mention a little bit of Salt Lake City 2 in here. Normally we have to do take 2 because of Karen, because she's laughing when we start these podcasts, but today it's because I just made the mistake. I hadn't been reading YouTube comments for a couple of weeks, actually, and while I was waiting for Karen to come downstairs to do this podcast, I just started scrolling through some comments. You know, they say the first rule of the internet is not to read the comments. But then you get bashed because people are like, oh, you never respond, to comments. So you can't
not read all the comments.
Yeah, sometimes you're like, well, and you can't. And sticks and stones, may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's the biggest bunch of poppycock that there ever was.
That's what moms just tell their kids so they can buck up.
People say things just to piss you off and just to hurt you, and they think that they know everything about you. It's like, oh, we know everything about you, Kyle, because you post your videos, and we know that you have posted every single thought and every single thing you've ever done. And that's a very naive view. Anyway, I shouldn't let it get to me, and normally I don't, but man, I was just like, I started this podcast and I had to stop it because I'm like, I have no energy. But now I have all the energy in the world because I took 12 seconds to breathe.
Well, then it didn't help that I came down here and started laughing. Sorry.
Anyway, no, that's fine. So let's talk about what happened today in Supercross. I don't know if you guys are going to be listening to this on Monday morning or if you might get it like late Sunday night. It's 9:20 right now when we're recording this p.m. And today was just super amazing. Like the racing today, it was essentially just a mutter. We've had like crazy weather here in Utah. Basically it was the second or third driest spring on record. And then all of a sudden, we just had a couple days of rain. And so all of a sudden, here, Supercross, Salt Lake City number 3, it turns into just a mud fest.
But it wasn't just like rain. It was like sheets of rain and downpour. Yeah,
lots of wind. It ripped up a tree at my dad's house. We spent the day on Saturday helping him cut out a tree that's as old as I am. It was 39 or somewhere between 38 and 40 years old, this blue spruce tree in his yard that just got completely mowed down by the wind. And we were there helping him cut that out the other day and yesterday, I guess. And then today they had Supercross up there on the hill, and it was just insane. It was a lot of wet, and there was some good racing. I just want to start. We hardly ever do this. I just want to start by saying my hat is off right now to Eli Tomac and Cooper Webb.
Oh man,
I don't even think we need to talk about a single other person because
not really.
If you only watched this race, I think the question that you would have is you would be like, so is there only 2 guys that are good?
Yeah. There's 2 guys racing and everyone else is just in the way.
Seriously, in the way to the nth degree. The only person that didn't get lapped was Jason Anderson in third place.
If the race had gone just a couple more minutes,
he would have been lapped.
Yeah, he would have been lapped.
He would have been lapped. So Eli Tomac and Cooper Webb lapped all the way up to 3rd place. They didn't quite lap 3rd place, but they lapped every other person. And even people like Ken Roczen, who ended up in 10th place, Ken Roczen got lapped twice.
Dun, dun, dun.
Just think about that for a second. Ken Roczen still is 2nd in points in this championship. He's one of the premier riders in the world. He told us this week that he's been dealing with a breathing thing, and that's why he didn't have a good result last week. I have to assume that's part of the reason why he didn't have a good result this week. But here he is, one of the best riders on the entire planet, and he got lapped twice in this race. And I don't think anything was wrong with his bike, and he wasn't like physically injured.
Well, he did have the flat tire in the qualifying.
In the heat,
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in the main event. He was going to win. That's the thing. He was going to win his heat race. And then Cooper Webb stole it from him at the end of the heat race because, well, it looked like he got a flat tire.
Yeah.
But then he was able to finish out and still get 2nd place in that heat race. So that didn't really affect his position really at all.
Yeah.
But, okay, so here's how it goes down. Zach Osborne comes out, grabs the whole shot, and Cooper Webb and Zach are kind of going back and forth, and then Cooper gets the pass. Next thing you know, Eli Tomac is up there, and Tomac passes Webb, but Webb hangs with him. And Webb is hanging with him, and they're just pushing themselves, and they are literally just start going through lap traffic. There was a couple times where they were coming through lap traffic, and it was like, oh my goodness, and we're halfway through the race, and it looks like it's the first lap. It looks like they've started in 10th place and they're just trying to make their way up through the first lap because everyone is on the same rhythm section.
Well,
but guess what? It was the top 10. It was guys in the top 10. It was like 5 dudes in the top 10 that they were right with, plus other guys that were getting lapped. And I had never seen anything like that. It was just so unbelievable. And it worked out in Tomac's, disfavor right then, because he gets tied up with somebody and Cooper Webb passes him. But then these guys, Eli Tomac and Cooper Webb, just went back and forth, and they pushed each other into one of the best performances I have ever seen since we started watching Supercross. Yeah. It was muddy, and they were still hammering down, those two guys. They were going like twice as fast as the other people.
Well, when you say they pushed each other, I think they pushed each other into a new dimension because, like we said, there were 2 guys racing and everyone else was in the way. And, I am a massive Ken Roczen fan, and I'll be the first to say that. But I was so bummed to see him get passed the first time. And when he looked back, I could just feel him thinking, what is happening? I'm getting lapped right now?
Because I think what happened is at that time, Tomac went past him. And then he looked back over his shoulder and saw Cooper Webb. And I think he dropped a load in his pants.
I think so too.
When that happened.
But then the second time he got passed was more like just a heavy emotion change for him. It felt like, I can't see in his goggles and under his helmet, but it just felt so heavy when they passed him the second time. Because, he is the second in points, and
he's an amazing rider.
He's incredible, and he's a fighter and so tough and all of the things. But to see him get passed twice was so frustrating. And so, and
it wasn't that you're in 10th place. 10th, he's not supposed to be in 10th place, but 10th place doesn't get lapped twice. Every once in a while, every once in a blue moon, they can lap up to 10th place.
Yeah.
But not twice.
Well, and also in the 250, they lapped up maybe up to 5th or something. I can't remember the exact number, but they were lapping more up into the numbers than I had ever seen before as well.
In the 450s. Yeah.
In the 250s.
Oh.
In the 250s. And so I was just like, wow. And then when we shifted over to 450s, I was just thinking to myself, well, these guys are better. And there's a few guys that, it seems like are on a higher racing plane than the rest of them. And so I'm like, surely they won't all get passed, but they did. And twice. And a couple guys got passed like 6 times.
Yeah. Let me just run down. These are the names of the people who got lapped one time in this race. Zach Osborne, Malcolm Stewart, Dean Wilson. Then we get into the people who got lapped twice. And I'm not exactly sure where the line is, but it's somewhere right in here. Justin Brayton, Martin Davalos, Justin Bam Bam Barsha, Ken Roczen, Aaron Plessinger, Blake Baggett, Benny Bloss, Chad Reed, Justin Hill, Vince Freezy. Now we're going to get into people who might have gotten lapped 3 times. Brock Tickle, Kyle Chisholm, Kyle Cunningham, Tyler Bowers. And then you get down to the bottom, and some of these guys got lapped 4 and 5 times. Ryan Preece and Logan Carnow. The boys, I'm not entirely certain, because the boys were just kind of looking at the timing and scoring thing as it was going. And it could have been a mistake, but they said that Logan Carnow in 22nd place, he got lapped like 5 or 6 times. It's just embarrassing. And so what Karen is talking about with Tomac and Cooper being on a different level, it's absolutely true, because these guys suddenly found a way to ride that track at incredible speed when no one else could. And they were going 100% when everyone else was doing 60%.
Yeah.
It was inspiring. It was inspiring in one way and embarrassing for the other guys. Because I'm sitting there going, I know Zach Osborne is not supposed to be lapped. Malcolm Stewart is not supposed to be lapped. Dean Wilson, Justin Brayton, Martin Davalos, Justin Barsha, Ken Roczen, Aaron Plessinger, Blake Baggett, Benny Bloss, Chad Reed, Justin Hill. None of these people are used to getting lapped. Mm-mm. And sure as heck, none of them. I bet you that none of these guys in their professional career have been lapped twice. Yeah. I would go so far as to say, I would bet $100 right now that Ken Roczen has never been lapped twice in any professional race since he turned like 16.
without any kind of like injury or, mechanical error.
Yeah, he might have been lapped once. Like every once in a while, something happens. You have a mechanical thing, you get a flat tire, blah, blah, blah. Your bars are bent, things happen. But these guys weren't, not all these guys had mechanical issues. It was just absolutely stunning. And so do you knock on these other guys, or do you just say Cooper and Eli took it to a new level? And I say Cooper and Eli took it to a new level because it wasn't like just one guy sucked. All of these, if you compare all of these people to Cooper and Eli, they sucked. And so my gut feeling says no. Like what Karen mentioned, Cooper and Eli they found like a different universe.
Alternate universe.
They found an alternate universe and they started riding in that.
Well, you think about it like Logan Carnow. He was, the last place guy, but he's also one of the top 30 in the world, and so he's an amazing rider and he's got crazy good skills and he just happens to be the bottom of this pack today. And for him to get lapped so many times is just mind-boggling. And maybe there was something going on with him or his bike or something.
And it looks like he's riding a 250. But even then, he's riding a 250 in the 450 class. There was something weird about that. But the point is this: he shouldn't have been lapped that many times. You put Shane McElrath, who's riding a 250, or Chase Sexton out there. They're not going to get lapped 5-6 times. No. They might get lapped twice. They probably would, based off of what. Actually, I don't think they would. They would. It's possible they might have been lapped, but I don't know. The fact that they lapped all the way up to 4th place means, these 250 guys might have been lapped. And the other thing too is Tomac's bike was getting hot. You could see towards the end, it looked like he was
smoking.
It was smoking. I was wondering if because Tomac is kind of a guy that rides a little bit more hard on the bike, on the clutch and stuff. I was wondering if the clutch was going to hold out to the end of that race. It was just back and forth, and they're going through lappers and they're doing all this crazy stuff. And it's like, tit for tat and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden on one of the second to last turns, Cooper Webb is tailing and he's pushing up on Ken Roczen.
He's going to pass him.
Come. And then there was a lapper that just got right in between him. Who was it? Who ended up? Was it Bowers?
I can't remember.
Right, who was right? It was
during a right-hand turn right before the finish line, and it looked like Cooper had the momentum to catch him. But right at that turn, all three of them kind of
came together. And I think it was Tyler Bowers that got in between Webb and Tomac, and it cut Webb off, and he was done after that. Like, he lost the race at that moment because he might have been able. And that's the thing. Like, we did another episode a couple months ago. Like, how deep can you mentally dig with Cooper Webb? I do not believe there's anyone mentally tougher in Supercross right now than Cooper Webb. All of them are physically tough. He's absolutely incredibly physically tough, but he's mentally tough. And in the last year and a half, I think he's been more mentally tough than Eli. But we have to give Eli credit because Eli has now found out how to become mentally tough. He's found out how to not get beat. But the funny thing is, in his heat race, he just kind of rolled over. In Tomac's heat race, he had something happen. I can't remember exactly what it was, and he just kind of got like 5th. He lost. He got beat by like 18 seconds in his heat race. Remember that?
Huh.
Remember tonight? Yeah, that's what happened. He got beat by 18 seconds. I'm like, what is going on? This is the old Tomac, where he just like something bad happens and he kind of like just rolls over. Well, guess what? He hasn't been rolling over in these main events.
Yeah.
He digs deep.
He's been rising.
He's rising, and it's inspiring. And I think he is going to run away with this thing. He keeps riding like he is. I mean, because at this point, we have to wonder if Ken Roczen has it in him. Now Ken Roczen is like 26 points back. He's a full race back.
So, I mean, Eli could not race one whole race and still
be tied for the points lead right now against Ken Roczen. And Cooper Webb is losing points to him every time he loses. And Cooper Webb is like 32 points back or something, because the beginning of the season. That's the other thing. If Cooper Webb, he comes into this season like really, really sick with the flu, who knows? Maybe he had coronavirus for all we know.
Yeah.
He could have had coronavirus. And the first 3 weeks of the season, he sucked. And he was like just trying to manage it and get through it and survive. And then he starts to get a little bit better. and he's starting to get his groove back. And then he has that crash in Arlington that they've shown
that we've
17
seen a billion times.
Failed entertainment. I know you don't listen to this podcast, but if you do, stop showing that crash. Like you show it like 9 times. In fact, because we're doing this podcast is about Sunday. On the race on Wednesday
night, yeah,
it was like in the heat of the battle, and freaking Cooper Webb is in the middle of the race, and there's like a battle going on, and he's trying to win the race, and they just go ahead and show for like 45 seconds the crash that happened at Arlington. And it's like, we have seen it 90 times in this broadcast and 257,000 times in the last couple of races. Stop showing that. We've all seen it. If you want to bring it up, that's fine, but don't show us the freaking crash again. Just let us watch the race.
My mom heart hurts every time I see him land on his back. Me and Case look at each other every time. We're each other's support system because we can't actually look at it anymore because it hurts so bad. But
Cooper Webb, he won the other race. He won Salt Lake number 2. He beat out everybody. He beat Tomac last 3 days ago on Wednesday in Salt Lake number 2. Now today in Salt Lake number 3, he goes out and they're having one of the most epic battles. I mean, I just thought it was great. Yeah. It was fantastic riding. It was inspiring because of how fast they were moving through people that are also professionals at basically their same level. And it was unbelievably apparent that, you know what? They're not at the same level.
They can dig a little deeper.
Those 2 guys can dig deeper than the other dudes. And Eli Tomac is going to win this championship because of it, and there's going to be no asterisk on it, be like no COVID-19 asterisk. No, because he is finding a way to do it week in and week out, and it's harder. I think what they're doing right now is going to be classified as harder than what anyone has ever had to do, and I think congratulations. Obviously, we can't crown him yet because anything could happen, but if Tomac keeps doing what all he has to do from this point out is get 5th. He gets a top 5 here on out. I mean, mathematically, maybe he might have to get like a top 3 or whatever. Let's assume Cooper Webb could just rip off and win every single one. If Tomac gets 3rd place, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You've got to have Tomac get out 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th, or whatever in order for Cooper Webb to climb back into this. And I think Ken Roczen is out of it. I just feel like he's just going to continue to slide down, as sad as that is. I don't want that to happen. But Eli Tomac is going to run away with this thing, and he deserves it. Tonight, he had his, I don't even know, like 44th win or whatever. The point is, he tied Ryan Dungey for the number of 450 wins, which is awesome. It's like in the 40s or something. He has no championships. Ryan Dungey got 4 championships. And so Eli Tomac has found out, to his dismay over the last few years, how to win a heck of a lot of races but not win championships because he just wasn't consistent enough.
That's got to be so frustrating for him.
Yeah, you'd win one night and get a 15th the next night, or win the next night and then get a 10th. He was just horrible at consistency. This year, he's finally, boom, flipped the switch. I put the thumb up by the mic for that, just for Karen. He flipped the switch and he has figured out how to win, and he's going to win. And it's going to be awesome for him. And congratulations to Eli. If you can continue to do what you're doing, it's just too bad that Cooper had that, was sick at the beginning of the season. Because if he wasn't sick at the beginning of the season, this thing would be a tight battle. It was one of the tightest races we've ever seen, and the championship points would be tight if Cooper had been healthy at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, it was really fun to listen to their post-race interviews because both of them said the word fun. Like, that was such a fun race. It's muddy and sloshy, and the lappers are everywhere. And, both Eli and
not getting
Cooper,
out of the way because they're in the bloody top 10.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing, Karen, because usually if you're in 17th, 18th, whatever, you're not in the race.
You're used to getting the blue flag.
But these guys, you got freaking like Ken Roczen and Zach Osborne and Justin Bray getting they're not getting blue flags. They're not used to that.
Funny thing is
and then they're still battling for position because it's still going to be a top 10 finish, so they don't want to move over.
Yeah. So the first time that Ken Roczen was about to get lapped, he was surrounded by some other guys who were like farther in the pack. So maybe he was lapping somebody at the same time. But he was also being lapped. So he's lapping someone while someone's lapping him. And so he sees the blue flag and doesn't move over because he just assumes, I'm assuming, that that's for the other guy. And it's not for me because I'm the one passing. But little does he know, he's got the two guys right behind him coming. And I just think that is so crazy.
And that's when he realized it was the Twilight Zone. I had to hit all these buttons before I found that one.
I'm like, crickets.
There's the crickets.
Am I saying something super boring here? Because I thought I was on a roll.
There's the rim shot, and then it was the Twilight Zone. Anyway, like seriously,
we need some labels on those.
Because he I don't think. Yeah, you're right. He probably thought like the blue. Yeah, get away from like he's seeing the blue flag.
Through.
He's like, yeah. Coming through. He's not used to seeing the blue flag on him. And he turned around that time like, what is going on?
Yeah, he looked over his shoulder like, wait a second.
Like, what the heck? It was like this weird body language. And because all of a sudden a green bike goes by with the number 3, turns around, there's an orange bike with a number 1. Yeah. And I think he pooed his pants.
Yeah, he jolted like a little bit over his shoulder. Like, what is going on?
Like, this isn't possible. Did you guys cut half the track? Did you is this a practical joke? But then the second time that he got lapped, I'm assuming that could possibly be one of the low points for him emotionally. Yeah. And if you go think about it, he's obviously, Ken Roczen has had some bitter times with like the injuries and things. This is a time that I think he'll remember for a long time because getting lapped one time was like a gut punch. Getting lapped for the second time in the same race would be like devastating. It could be devastating emotionally. I don't know.
Twisting the knife up in there.
Twisting the knife. Let's talk about the 250s. Because in the 250 race, you had Chase Sexton was your winner. Shane McElrath got second place. But they actually had to red flag this race. So red flagging the race is when they stop it because of a rider's safety. Garrett Marchbanks crashed. I don't know exactly what happened, but he could not finish and they needed to deal with him and help him off the track.
There was a few things of carnage going on, but he was the main reason.
Yeah. Hope Garrett Marchbanks is okay. He's a local Utah boy.
So sad.
But Chase Sexton got the whole shot, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, Shane McElrath pushed him to the side, pushed him right off the track, but didn't.
Well, he just hold on.
Took his line away.
My favorite part was actually when the gate drops and Chase does a wheelie for like 30 feet. I'm like, oh,
it was longer than that. It was halfway down the start.
I don't know. I can't judge when they're going that fast, but it was so long, and I was like, wow, he is going to get it. And then he did.
Yeah, and then he lost the lead right away, put the bike down because he was being impatient, landed on someone else's back tire, and like crashed them both.
Then they both go down, yeah.
And then the race got red flagged, which was a super gut punch for Shane McElrath, who had like a really healthy lead early on in that race.
He was already pulling away.
He was super pulling away, and then they got red flagged. So that was a good thing for Chase Sexton, although they had to sit there for an extra 10, 12, 15 minutes just freezing under their, in the rain.
A couple of them had umbrellas.
Yeah, a lot of them had umbrellas.
It's got to be so cold.
But then Sexton goes out, and I think Shane McElrath got the next hole shot, but it was the two guys up in the front, and then Shane just goes down. He went down at one point, and then Chase Sexton was able to ride away, and he actually dominated that race. By the end of it, he was ahead by a long shot, more than 10 seconds, I think it was.
He led like 12, 13 laps?
Yeah, he led 12 laps. Shane McElrath led 5, and Chase led 1, so Chase is now back as the sole points leader in that 250 East race. On the race that was coming up on Wednesday, it's going to be the Dylan Ferrandis Express again. So we're going to have the 250 West. Those guys have had a long break.
My heart rate just went up.
Coming back. So you get Dylan Ferrandis. We've got the return of Jet Lawrence and his brother Hunter Lawrence. We've got, hopefully Christian Craig comes back,
Is he healthy?
I don't know. Probably.
I hope so.
You're supposed to be the one doing the research on Instagram.
No, I've been watching his Instagram, and he looks healthy.
And then the guy I can never remember, he blew out his knee, and he was super good last year. He won the 250 East last year.
Austin Faulkner?
Austin Faulkner, thank you. This is why it's not the only reason Karen's here. She's not just a pretty face.
I do know my riders, okay?
She does. And I can never, whenever it's Austin Faulkner, if it's not up in front of me, and I only have the 250 East guys in front of me, I can't remember Austin Faulkner. I don't even know why. But yeah, so the upcoming race is going to be the 250 West guys, which will be fun. But here's your top 5 in the 250 East on this race in Salt Lake number 3. You had Chase Sexton 1, Shane McElrath 2, Colt Nichols 3, Pierce Brown 4, and Kyle Peters 5. Congrats to Pierce Brown. He's our local Sandy, Utah boy. He's had a pretty good run here in Utah, which has been fun to watch.
We need him on this podcast.
No, we do. I'm just like, I'm so busy.
Translation is, how are we going to find time to do that? Because we don't have any time.
I don't even know how to keep my head
Maybe
above
Pierce
water
will just
on
call
everything
you.
else. Yeah, Pierce, if you text me, the number's 801 4. No. I'm not going to give that up. Tens of thousands of people have my phone number, I swear, because I'm just sending it out on every email.
Constantly getting messages and calls, yes.
But most of you are very respectful of my phone number, so thank you for that. But anyway, so it was a great race. This time last week, not last week, Salt Lake City number 2, just to recap, which was 3 days ago, in your 450 class, Cooper Webb won, Eli 2 was, Cooper
second.
Webb was first, Eli Tomac was second, Zach Osborne was third, which was freaking awesome. It was nice to see Zach Osborne up there on the podium. Jason Anderson was a fourth, and Ken Roxon was fifth. So Ken Roxon goes from fifth on Wednesday to 10th on Sunday. That is not the way he needs to be going.
No, it is not.
Not at all. And then last on Salt Lake City number 2 in the 250s, it was Shane McElrath in first, Colt Nichols, his teammate, in second, Jeremy Martin in third. Interesting thing about Jeremy, and then Chase Sexton was in fourth. That was a bad race for him. But interesting thing about Jeremy Martin, I don't know exactly how all the 250 points work, but you can point out, like if you've done a certain number of points in the 250 class, then you will point out and you can't race it anymore. And you have to move up to the 450 class or be done. And Jeremy Martin actually hit that right now. If he scored any more points in the 250 class, he would not be able to come back and race the 250 class next year. And so he's not going to finish the rest of the season. So it's an interesting one because he hasn't had the opportunity to move up to a 450, but he's been racing in the 250s for a long time. He's gone through a lot of things. He took a couple years off because he had a major injury, but now he came back and he was doing, okay-ish and whatever, J-Mart, and then he has to take a step down because if he gets any more points, he'll point out of the 250 class, and there isn't like an open spot for him in the 450 classes at this point. I mean, anything could happen. Somebody could get hurt here in Supercross or in Pro Motocross later in the year, and then a spot could open up and Jeremy Martin could be the guy to move up to a 450. But that's just an interesting side note there.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry we didn't do a podcast on Salt Lake City number 2. It's just these things are happening fast and furious, and I'm trying to run a business. Karen's trying to, be a mom, and she's got her stuff that she has going on too. So we're just so busy with everything. We're just looking at each other going, how are we going to do a podcast on that one? It just didn't happen. But tonight we did. So no promises we can get a podcast out for the next one on Wednesday. We'll try, but we got a lot of. I
got a scheduled time with this husband of mine, so he'll let me come on the podcast.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. Like I have people ask me, they're like, "Oh, you staying busy?" And I just look at them and I'm
understatement.
Just like, "Yeah, I'm too busy. I need to figure out how to offload some of it." And part of it is because I have this dirt bike channel. I have this sweepstakes that's going on that will end on June 15th, which is in just over a week. But yeah, it's crazy busy. I'm looking forward to getting that over with so I can just calm down for a little bit, and then we'll be ramping up. In a few more months, we'll have another one going. We'll start another one in October, which means I have to be ramping everything up months in advance. So this is an interesting gig, and I'm working more than I ever have. At times, it comes in. It's steady,
flows.
but then it flows and it gets more and more, like stuff going on as I do these sweepstakes. So I've got like 3 months where it's just insane work, and then you have a 1 month where it's slower, and then it starts to ramp up, and then boom, exploding again. So if you guys want to support Dirt Bike Channel, right now, if you're listening to this, you can still head over to my website if you want to get in on the sweepstakes, which we're doing. We're giving away 3 different dirt bikes, a 2019 KTM and 2 2020s. There's a 2020 Yamaha and a 2020 Beta. You can go over to my website, dirtbikechannel.com, and order, every $5 you spend over there gets you entered in the sweepstakes for that. Those sweepstakes pay for all the future sweepstakes that are happening, and it also helps to support my family of 6. Other ways that you can do it where you don't have to spend any money extra out of your pocket that you weren't already going to is to use my links for Rocky Mountain ATV, Motorsport, and Amazon. If you go to dirtbikechannel.com, up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a button that says links. over there you'll find a bunch of different links from Rocky Mountain ATV and different vendors. And I get a referral bonus anytime you click on those links. If you want to get you can bookmark those links. You can send me an email. The reference code goes away very quickly as the page loads. So if you click on the link and then just say, I want to bookmark this page, you might not bookmark the right thing. So you can send me an email and I can easily give you a link that you can bookmark. Or you can just go to the website and do that. I also have those links on like all the YouTube videos and everything. So that's a great way to support Dirt Bike Channel without spending any extra money out of your pocket. What else, Karen? Do we need to talk about anything else?
I don't know. Supercross twice a week is pretty much a dream come true. So I don't know.
I wonder if they'll keep any of this stuff, I mean, I'm not saying that they have to do the whole season compressed like that, but what if they had a little while where they did a race on, Saturday and then a race on Wednesday and then another race on Saturday, just to do something a little bit different and then give the guys a break. Maybe compress a few of them together
week before
and then,
Easter or
and then
something.
give them a 2-week break or something like that. I don't know. They've done different things with the Triple Crown to make it interesting. Anyway,
East-West Showdown's coming up.
Okay. Well, super fun, super good to chat with you guys. Thanks for coming in and listening to the podcast. And let's leave a single track. Thank you.